Welcome back. All right, so we've got a review for tonight, and then I have to do the preview for tomorrow because we got early games tomorrow, and yeah, some surprising results tonight. But it does feel like the teams that will or won't be in the playoffs is starting to settle itself out, and there's one that fell below the playoff line tonight. We're gonna have to discuss that. So starting off, Washington and the New Jersey Devils. This was a game where Mackenzie Blackwood tried to will this to happen. He tried to will the Devils to their first victory over the Caps on the season, and he did well. He did. It was reverse retro night for the Devils. The reverse retros again seem to be a little more rare right now than they were early in the season, or like the third, fourth week of the season. It seemed like everybody was wearing them, and then it just stopped. Wedgwood versus Vanacek in this one. No, Blackwood versus Vanacek. Sorry, put Wedgwood up there. Blackwood. Early power play for the Devils. The Caps had a shorthanded chance right away, so that power play started off poorly. And then we get at the 37 seconds of 4-on-4. Caps get a power play after that. Blackwood made a nice save on Ovechkin. So everything's killed off. Shots were only 4-2 though in favor of the Caps with 6.5 minutes left. Vanacek then stopped a Janssen chance. The Devils showed some energy in the second half of that period, but the Caps did outshoot them. So we go to the second period. Caps had an early power play. Good kill by the Devils yet again. That was the end of the power plays for Washington. The shots, though, at 7 minutes. Fixed. But yeah, so shots were 11-2 Capitals at 7 minutes. I've had one Toronto Magnet. The magnet falls, or the actual sticker falls off the magnet constantly. I have to fix that. So I just haven't. So Carlson would score from Eller at 8 minutes and 22 seconds, and that was on a turnover. So New Jersey's got to watch those. But they were not the one that was committing a lot of turnovers tonight that I was like, what are you guys doing? So the Caps continued to control the play. However, kind of against the flow of the play. And maybe looking to change things around. McLeod scores from Boquist and Murray at 12:53. And that, again, seemed to be kind of against the flow of things. So Devils looking to get back into this. Dowd had a chance that went across the crease. The fourth line for the Caps was very effective after that. They usually are. There was a late power play for the Devils, but it's 1-1 after 2. So we go to the third period. The Caps finished the kill at the start of that period from the Devils power play that ended the second. Subban had a chance that was gloved aside the Caps, getting shots. And this is standard for the Devils' third periods, where they seem to get outshot badly and outchanced badly. They've got to change that around. There was a press by the Capitals at the half because, again, the Devils don't play very well in the third. Orlov rocketed one from the point. Devils were hemmed in with 5 minutes left. And the Caps, late, when Devils did get some chances, there was some good shot blocking by the Capitals. With 2 minutes to go, you could tell this one was headed for OT. So it goes to overtime. Sherry was denied at 10 seconds. It's just like they just dropped the puck and Sherry's in alone. There you go. Palmieri then had a shot that was blocked. Goes out of play. Janssen was denied. The Capitals had a 2-on-1. Oshie's shot was saved. Hughes had a break. Vanacek saved that. And then Orlov scores at 4:39 and finishes it. So the Capitals win 2-1. They go to 24-9-4. The Devils dropped to 13-16-6. And with that overtime loss, again, for New Jersey, they're just making it difficult for teams. I don't have a problem with that. Shots in this one favored Washington in all three periods until overtime. 9-5 in the first, 15-8 in the second, 13-7 in the third, and the overtime. 3 shots each. Final shots 40-23 for the Capitals. Power plays, both teams went 0 for 2. Vanacek saved 22 out of 23 for the Caps. Blackwood saved 38 out of 40 for the New Jersey Devils. So, yeah, that was an entertaining first game. And then an hour later, Toronto and Winnipeg started up. So, for Toronto, Campbell came into this game 7-0 with a .948 save percentage. He would exit this game with a .951 save percentage. And he's against Hellebuck, and there are some people who think that Campbell's being favored by media north of the border, and he's not really that good. He's just a hot streak. Campbell was a very good goaltender with the LA Kings. At this time before the trade deadline last year, I thought the Kings would probably move quick because I thought Campbell and Peterson would be a really solid duo. When Campbell got picked up by Toronto, I thought that was a fantastic move by the Leafs, and that he's one of the better backups in the league. And what he's proven during this run is he's just a good goaltender. So Hyman had a chance early, nearly went in. Brody got shaken up on a hit. Pretty sure he stayed in the game, though. The shots were 3-3 at the half. The Jets get a power play. That's killed off. Campbell stopped a pretty good chance from Scheifele. But coming out of the first period, the Jets had to feel pretty good about their game. Campbell was doing really well as well. So you go to the second. In the second, early chance for Connor is stopped. Riley then had a chance the other way. Hellebuck made the save there. The Leafs pressed at 2.5 minutes. More saves for Hellebuck, because the story of this game really is the goaltending. Campbell made some key stops. Matthews, his line pressed. And then Dermott, of all people, scores the icebreaker from Spezza and Bogosian at 5:16. So, yeah, that's an odd trio combining on a goal, but there you go. Hellebuck then saved on Tavares as the Leafs were trying to make it 2-0. They pressed at the half. They had their opportunities. The Jets then had a 2-on-1. That misfired, but they would tie it. Andrew Kopp staying red hot. He scores from Lowry and Appleton at 11:50. The Jets then had a power play. That was killed off. And then late in the period, the Leafs get a power play. The Leafs were the better team in that period, but both teams scored once. Third period. Post for Galchenyuk in the first minute. He still has not scored a goal as a member of the Leafs, but he's been a useful member of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he seems to be more at home there than he was in Minnesota or than he was in Ottawa, and probably going back to Pittsburgh before that. Power play for the Leafs then, that was killed off. Hellebuck stopped a pretty good chance from Matthews. Stastny had a shot, which was saved by Campbell. The Jets pressed after that. Campbell with some more highlight reel saves. Kopp then somehow doesn't score. Kopp, I don't know how that one doesn't go in. Connor then had a prime chance. Morrissey had a shot from the point that was saved. The Jets pressed some more in the final 2 minutes. And then in the last minute, the Leafs said, well, we can do that too, and they got some pressure. So we go to overtime. In the overtime, the Jets controlled early, and then Dubois with just a misplay, and then with a trip after that. So in the overtime, Toronto gets the power play. Dubois on the board for the wrong reasons there. The Jets survived it, and things get kind of testy between these teams. I get the feeling they're kind of tired of playing each other. And the funny part was that during this, so it's 4-on-4 after the power play, right? The Jets wanted a penalty. I think it was a board that they wanted called on the Leafs, and nothing was called. And one of the Jets, yelled at the ref, "You're bleeping horrible." And it was clearly, and there's no bleep in there either, it was clearly heard on TV, and you heard Gord Miller kind of go, well, all right. Like, it just, that happened. So we go to a shootout. Jack Campbell never having won in the shootout. He hasn't been in a lot of them. So Spezza gets the winner, and that's the first shootout win for Jack Campbell. I think he'd only been in 1 or 2 before this. So Toronto wins 2-1 in the shootout. They go to 24-10-3. For the Jets, they get a point. They're 22-13-3. And the congestion at the top of this division isn't really relieved by this. But for the Leafs, they get the 2 points, and the Jets get 1. Shots in this one, 10-7 Winnipeg in the first, 17-10 Toronto in the second. Third period, 11-9 Winnipeg. And in the overtime, 5-1 Toronto. A power play in overtime will do that. Final shots, 38-32 for the Leafs. Power plays, Toronto 0-3, Winnipeg 0-2. Jack Campbell, 31 saves on 32 shots. Like I said, his save percentage is .951 now. Hellebuck, 37 saves on 38 shots. Not too shabby by that guy either. So there you go. Next up, Edmonton. So the Oilers in Calgary, and look at this. This is 2 games north of the border and a combined 8 goals. So the idea that the teams in the north aren't playing the defensive side of it, that has really gone away over the last few weeks. First minute, Draisaitl gets a chance. He had some opportunities in this game. The Oilers were up 3-0 in shots at 3.5 minutes. And it's a slow start by Calgary. It's what they do. And then I put up here, don't turn it over to Draisaitl. Don't give it to Draisaitl. And the Flames seemed to just hand off the puck to the wrong guy. I don't know if they were calling for them or what was going on. Markstrom then denied Puljujarvi. The Oilers get a power play. That's killed off. Things get kind of scrummy because Battle of Alberta, which was said a lot during this game. And then Michael Stone. He gets a goal from Mangiapane and Lucic at 12:23. And then the Flames would press with a couple of minutes left. So the Flames had the lead. They did get some pressure late. And coming out of the first, they had to feel pretty good about things. Second period, early on, the Oilers get a power play and they score. It's Nugent Hopkins from Draisaitl and McDavid at 1:19. The Flames get their turn basically right after that. But then we get a minute of 4-on-4. A short Oilers power play. That's killed off. And then it's Tkachuk straight out of the box. So he gets the goal from Monahan and Bennett at 5:25. And what I thought was funny was, I'm watching and I didn't see on the screen the scoring play. So there, well, the app will tell me, and it said Tkachuk unassisted. And I'm like, no, he was at center ice. Somebody passed him the puck, and it wasn't the Oilers, unless they're calling for it. And so I had to wait until basically the game was over before it actually showed that Monahan and Bennett got the assist. Now, Bennett was the second line center tonight because Backlund was out. So Backlund a late scratch, and I thought Bennett played all right. I thought he acquitted himself rather well. So yeah, Gaudreau then fired one high as the Flames tried to add to their lead, and then they don't turn it over to Draisaitl. They did it again, and on that play, Cahoon ends up scoring from Yamamoto and Bear at 11:29, which didn't make Lucic happy. He felt like they had recovered from the turnover to Draisaitl, and then the puck ends up in the back of their net anyways. Then we get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 because Tkachuk and Draisaitl don't like each other's faces or something along those lines. And yeah, that's a feud that we all want to see, right? And then don't turn it over to McDavid was what it just felt like the Flames kept just, would you like the puck? Would you like it? We want to be, it's their house. It's their building. It seems kind of rude to not let them have the puck. Be rude, Calgary. Be rude. Third period. The Flames started it with a 2-minute power play because Kassian takes a penalty at the buzzer. It was aggressive, the Oilers' penalty kill. Nurse then blasted one wide after the penalty kill. Crossbar then for Brett Ritchie for the Flames. The Oilers get a power play and they score on it. It's McDavid from Draisaitl at 7:01. And it was just off a one face-off. And it goes through Markstrom. Lindholm then had a near miss shortly after that. Then with 5:13 left, the Oilers get a power play. I think it was Monahan that took the penalty. And it's killed off. The Flames did kill it off. So they pulled the goalie with 2 minutes left. They called a timeout with 1:03 left. Lindholm was denied in the last 15 seconds. But yeah, the Flames could not tie this. They lose it 3-2 in regulation. They drop to 16, 19, and 3. And that's, I mean, we're not going to say, well, their season's over. But it kind of feels like it is. For the Oilers, they're 23, 14, and 1. They are so far ahead of the Flames. And really, it's Calgary, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal. And I think we'll be stunned if anybody actually catches Montreal at this point. Shots, 14-8 Edmonton in the first, 12-6 Calgary in the second, 6-5 Calgary in the third. Final shots, 26-25 for the Flames. Power plays 0-2 for Calgary, 2-5 for Edmonton. So Markstrom ends up with 22 saves on 25 shots. Mike Smith, another very good appearance, 24 saves on 26 shots. Despite the naysayers, Smith has continued to be solid for the Oilers. All right, next up. So, as of tonight, St. Louis is below the playoff line. And they're going to have to beat Colorado if they want to get above it again. So, coming into tonight's game, it was interesting, too, because Johansson's in net for Colorado. So, I saw comments this morning on the preview with, well, Colorado's not going to win because Johansson's in net. I get it. I get it that people think, well, from Buffalo, he was terrible, so he's just awful. And there were those reports that even in practice, he couldn't make a save. I don't see it. I haven't seen like the worst goalie of all time when I watch Johansson. I haven't seen it. So, thirds for the Avs tonight. They have a pretty good record with those thirds over the years. Early Avs power play, and they score on it. Brandon Saad from Kadri at 3:24. The lead doesn't last. Hoffman scores from Shannon Perron at 3:50. And I think that was St. Louis's first shot. I'm pretty sure it was St. Louis's first shot. So again, if you expected Johansson to kind of crap out, you're probably watching this and going, oh, here we go. The shots were 9-5 for the Blues at the half. So the Blues definitely had the advantage early on. They wouldn't keep it. But yeah, I thought Johansson played well. In fact, I pointed out that he had saved 9 straight shots after that goal. And I felt like, all right, so we'll see when he allows the next one. But it really wasn't a big deal tonight. The Avs press with 6 minutes left. They would end up getting a power play, and they score on it. It's McKinnon on the power play from Landeskog and Makar at 14:43. The Blues then get a power play, and Hoffman hit the crossbar, and it's killed off. So sometimes as a goalie, you're like, hey, the posts were there. That's good. So second period, the Avs pressed at around 90-second mark. They get another power play. That was killed off. Donskoy gets the Avs another power play. That was killed off, and then the Blues get a chance on theirs. Now, they don't score on it, and then McKinnon, after that's been killed off, he scores from Landeskog and McDonald at 13-11, and it goes through Binnington, and that's not a great goal. So there was the one instance tonight where there's a goal on Binnington that you can look at and say, you want him to save that, right? Power play for the Blues, it becomes a 5-on-3, and during the 5-on-3, the Blues score. It's Perron from Tarasenko and Krug at 17-16. So coming out of the second period, it's 3-2 in favor of Colorado. But again, if you were of the mind that the goaltending for Colorado was going to be an issue, you're still not secure going into the third. Third period, early chance for Cale Makar. The Avs really did control that first half of the period. They were up 14-2 in the shots with 9 minutes left. So, yeah, they really made it so St. Louis was fighting to get it out of their zone basically that entire time. Rantanen then snapped his stick because of it not doing his will and not making him happy. So he snapped his stick there. 4:52 left. The Blues get a power play. During that, Dunn had a shot that was stopped, and that power play is killed off. Goalie pull with 1:45 left, and this is where Blues fans probably wanted to throw something at the TV. With 1:24 left, Perron's called for a trip. So Perron's stick breaks. Now, he's the guy at the point, so he doesn't want the puck coming out. So what he does is he just dives to the ice and slides and gets the puck. But he also trips the player in question. So I could understand both sides. I could understand the Blues being upset about the penalty being called, but I could also kind of understand the referee calling it. But yeah, it's up to you. I know this is probably going to fall on whichever team you were cheering for in this game. I thought it's a rough way to end a game. I'll say that. It is a really rough way to snuff out any hope for St. Louis coming back, because that meant they were shorthanded. They did pull the goalie when they were shorthanded to go 5-on-5, but 5-on-5 you're a lot less likely to get that goal than 6-on-5. Perron then, after the game was over, he gave the ref an earful. He was not impressed. Probably said some of the same things that the Jets were saying to the ref in the Toronto game. Just probably something along the same lines. Maybe not quite as kind. Maybe more words. But yeah, so St. Louis loses a tough one, 3-2. They dropped 16, 14, and 6. For Colorado, they go to 24, 8, and 4. They continue to roll. They're undefeated at home in a while. Shots 12-10 St. Louis in the first, 11-5 Colorado in the second, and 18-9 Colorado in the third. Final shots 39-26 for Colorado. Power play, St. Louis 1 for 5, Colorado 2 for 6. Binnington had a good night. He had the one goal that you might say he should have had, but saves 36 out of 39. Johansson saves 25 out of 27. So there you go. He had himself a decent night, and I'm kind of glad to see it, because when people talk about how horrible a goalie is, I find myself rooting for the underdog and hoping he has a good night. And he did. All right, let's change boards. All right, so on the board, you got all three California teams, and I've got old logos on the board for all of them, and of course the Kachina for Arizona. I like to use the different, you may have noticed that on the first board too, I like to use the different logos because it's something different. So while I have the standard ones that I use for the review board, same ones I use, I like to use the other ones on occasion as well, because why not? It's fun. And this was kind of a fun game between Arizona and Anaheim. Anaheim made it a game. They did. This is a team that you could kind of forgive them if at this point they're just mailing it in, looking at the standings, looking at the overall stats and saying, well, we're done. But yeah, I think there's been some fight here. Early, and literally some fight in this one. So early Coyotes power play. The shots were 5-1 for the Coyotes at 5 minutes. Stolarz was the one keeping it scoreless. Stolarz had a very, very solid game. I know the overall numbers at the end of the night weren't great, but I think Stolarz has made an argument that he's another goaltender that might deserve a job in the NHL come next season. Volkov would score from Comtois and Drysdale at 16:06. That's his first game for the Ducks, and he gets himself a goal. Volkov, mixed results tonight. Obviously, it's his first game with a new team, and so there were some misplays that happened, I think, because he's not familiar with his line mates yet. That line could be scary next season. To use the rest of this season to just get used to each other. If they have all three of those guys together next season, that could be a really fun, say, second, third line, right? Ideally, and I'm just saying ideally, if Anaheim's going to start climbing up, that's not your first line, right? So Larson would score from Kessel and Gross at 18:43, and that tied it up at 1. So we go to the second period. I don't know why I wrote third. I guess it was just because I was writing third on the other board, so I wrote third here. I'll leave it. OEL had one that he fired wide. But then going the other way, Silverberg scores from Fowler and Delorier at 4:28, and they reviewed it. They reviewed it for a kick. And they decided, no, it was directed in with the skate. It wasn't a kick. Now, Tocchet was upset that it counted. Tocchet will be really upset if he sees the interview between the second and the third period between Ali Lozoff and Jacob Silverberg, where he basically said, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm going to have to paraphrase it because can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically went along the lines of, I don't think I kicked it. And it's like, okay, seriously? So, they decided I didn't kick it. All right, it sounds like maybe you kicked it. So, anyways, Tocchet wouldn't be happy if he'd heard that. Much better period for the Ducks, though, in that second period. And then Peterson would score from Dvorak and Goligoski at 10:47. Lane Peterson with his first NHL goal. Kudos to him. Made it his first NHL game as well. But, so it's nice to see guys come up and contribute with Arizona right away. So that ties the game up. And it was an insane bounce off the boards that made that happen. The Ducks tweeted out their dislike of that, and I thought that tweet was kind of funny. Terry then tried to answer. Henrique and Larson had a fight. That was the second fight in this game. The Ducks then get a power play, and there was a last-minute chance for Derek Grant. So we come out of the second period. It's entertaining. Third period, another good game for Stolarz. He had a solid start to that period as well. The Coyotes, at this point, know the Blues have lost. And I thought, I have to put that on the board. Going into the third period, they know the Blues have lost to Colorado. And they might say, well, we're not scoreboard watching. You're scoreboard watching. You're totally, even though it's not that time of year yet, you're scoreboard watching. Now, the Ducks think that they got one in the net, and they kind of did. But what happened is Hill covers it, and then they just kind of decided to score Hill into the net with the puck with him, and the ref just right away says, no, he blows that dead. No, it's not happening. And they announced as well Getzlaf wouldn't return. He had an upper body injury, which seemed to have a mixed response again from Ducks fans on Twitter. Coyotes then signaled that they scored before anybody else did. I don't even know if the light came on. We scored. And does it count? And the answer is yes. It was immediately noticeable. Yeah, it went in. So it's a goal. Kessel from Schmaltz and Gross at 12:02. That's 10 out of 15 goals for Phil Kessel have been scored in the third period. Phil Kessel scores at key times. Silverberg then nearly tied it with 4 minutes left, and then the puck goes the other way. You know what happens when that happens? Schmaltz gets a goal from Gross and Bunting at 16:56. Gross with 3 assists tonight. And then Dallas Aikens, because, might as well. He challenges it for goalie interference. There was barely anything there. As soon as they showed the replay, I'm like, that's not coming off. So yeah, it counts. The Ducks are shorthanded, and then in the last minute they get a power play to have a 6-on-4. They're not able to get anything going. Arizona wins this one 4-2. They go to 17, 15, and 5. As I said, they get 1 point in front of St. Louis, and for the Ducks they're 11, 21, and 6. So yeah, shots in this one 14-6 Arizona in the first, 13-10 Anaheim in the second, 10-7 Anaheim in the third. Final shots 31-29 for Arizona. Both teams went 0 for 2 on the power play. Aiden Hill 26 saves on 28 shots. Stolarz 27 saves on 31 shots at the other end. So again, his numbers at the end of the night not pretty, but Stolarz I thought played well. So there you go. All right, next up, last game of the night, San Jose. So the Sharks love playing the Kings, right? This is kind of what's going on now, is they would like to play the Kings as much as possible. They're in this. They're legit in this. If they can beat somebody other than the Kings the way they beat the Kings, they may end up being a team that comes out of nowhere and gets that fourth spot. It's there. It's there for the taking. So Hurdle scores from Knizhov and Balcers at 2:57. And Rudolph Balcers had a big game tonight, and that makes me happy because I get to say that name a lot, right? That was the first shot of the game, too. So Peterson, not a fantastic start, but he would make up for it. Peterson had a very good game. Vlasic backhanded one, trying to go for the 2-0 score. Shots were 5 apiece at the half. Power play then for the Sharks. That's killed off. And Peterson definitely by the end of this period had made up for that early goal. Not that the early goal was anything he could have done anything about. So it's 1-0 going into the second period. Second period, early saves by Peterson really stand out here. The Sharks not giving the Kings really good chances. So the Kings would end up getting a lot of shots tonight, comparatively speaking. I'm not sure how many of them were really good, dangerous chances because it felt like a lot of them were from the outside. Power play then for the Sharks, and then we end up with 1 minute and 2 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything's killed off in that, and then Timo Meier scores from Hurdle and Balcers at 9 minutes, and it was a top corner snipe. It was a beautiful goal. But what's weird is after the goal is scored, one of the two referees looked out of it. He looked out on his feet. So the second referee takes him off the ice, and he goes through the Kings bench and off to the dressing room. And yeah, it didn't look great. So hopefully he's okay. And it was weird because then as this is happening, so now you got the referee gone, then it's challenged for goalie interference. So it counts, which means that's a penalty. And then during the Kings' shorthanded time, there's a break for Anderson Dolan, which was stopped by Jones. And so they killed it off to the Kings. But again, they're down 2-0 going into the third. Third period, the Sharks had the early jump in that third period. They would actually outshoot LA in that third period. They did a very good job of shutting things down in their end. Peterson made some game savers because, again, a third goal really would have done it for them. Carlson had a chance. It was saved. Kempe then hits the post. Jones was kind of lucky on that one. That was one that probably should have and could have gone in for Kempe, say, a couple weeks ago when he was getting all those goals. And then the Sharks scored, there's a post for Vlasic first as the Sharks press, and then the Sharks scored, but is challenged for offsides. Announcers are starting to respond to this the way I am. Oh, it's challenged for offsides? It's not going to count. Immediately, I know it's not going to count. Whoever it is that's the spotter for each team to decide whether or not it's offside, they're very good at what they do. They're very good at figuring out on zone entries whether a team's offside or not. And so that one didn't count. Peterson then denied Burns. There's a goalie pull with 3 minutes and 5 seconds left. Doughty saved an empty net try. The Kings just couldn't set things up. 6-on-5, not getting a lot going on. And then Burns gets the puck to Balcers, and at 19:33, Balcers gets a goal to go with his 2 assists. Interestingly enough, Burns breaks his stick on that play. Balcers gives his stick to Burns and gets a new one. The stick that Burns was playing with was actually the wrong hand. So with basically a stick that's the wrong hand for him, he passes it to Balcers and it goes in the empty net. And there was some laughter on the bench because I for people who've played, like if you play with a stick that's the wrong hand, it just feels everything's wrong. Everything about it is just wrong. I know, like, I'm personally left-handed, left hand on the pen, and I play right when I do everything. And I've had people say, well, if your left hand's your dominant hand, you should try shooting left-handed. You'd be really good at it. I'm like, all right. So I try shooting left-handed. I'm like, this doesn't work. This is terrible. So in an NHL game for a player, it has to be stressful. You're trying to make sure that they don't get closer. And so, yeah, kudos to Burns on that one. Shots in this one, 9-7 San Jose in the first as they win this one 3-0 to go to 16-16-4. The Kings drop to 14-15-6. The Kings outshot them 14-13 in the second. San Jose outshoots them 14-9 in the third. Final shots 36-30 in favor of the Sharks. Power plays, San Jose 0 for 3, LA 0 for 2. Jones saves all 30 for his 25th career shutout. Nice. And Peterson, 33 saves on 35 shots. He's had a very good season thus far. And, Peterson's the starter for the Kings, I would think, next season. He's already the starter now. And I think he's a very good starting goaltender. And the Kings, they may very well be looking at next season. I know they're really close in numbers to everybody else, but I think it's going to... Just my gut says if somebody's going to knock out St. Louis and keep them down, either San Jose or Arizona gets that spot. But we'll see, because they're very close. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.